I'll be honest with you, I'm not the biggest cover fan. Like
Neither am I.
I don't, you know what I mean? It's like, so I don't mean that disrespectfully to anyone that does covers. I know people do covers. It's out of respect and honoring this, or maybe adding a different change to it. Like, I totally get that. I just never really, like, I don't know, covers. It just never was something that, I'd always just say, well, I'll just go listen to the original or whatever, like that's my mentality. But I did hear the cover and I thought it was a very, very good job. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
And you know what? It's to do it specifically like it was written. Well, there's only one guy that could play that song exactly the way it was written is of course Trey. But I would like to think I would be maybe second in line of who would play it the closest to being authentic Morbid Angel, because I played it, but and I know it. But I thought you guys did a really good job. It was really impressive.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm kind of with you on covers to a degree, but also like sometimes, because I can't do anything halfway, sometimes there's a song somebody wrote I want to learn, and if I want to learn it, I'm gonna do it, like
make it count.
Because I don't have it in me to just like half-ass learn a song. Like I have to like learn the song.
Finish it. Yeah. Finish it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Always finished, right? Yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah, and that's more what it is than like really doing covers. It's more like I wanted to learn about that thing that you guys did with like bends and those slimy riffs. Like it's a big part of my sound. So I figured I want to go back to the source and like actually like understand what they were doing back then. And so that's what I was wondering. Was it specific or not? And you're saying
it was specific. Yeah, it was specific. Like the first, like it's amazing to think this, that like, we recorded that record 29 years ago, 1994, November, December 94 is when we recorded Dominations. It's almost 30 years ago, which is crazy in itself. But I remember, like I said, I still, if I had my universe here at A Sharp, and then I would probably about 10 minutes, I'd still be able to play the song just because I played it so many times. But yeah, the first bend is a certain bend. The second one was a little less, and everything was specific on feel. Mm-hmm. That's the thing. Is Trey? Trey is the he's the master, man. I mean, of feel and just creativity, and I felt like when I was learning the song, I approached it the same way I do every night. I didn't put much thought into it. I just felt it. It was.
You have to.
One thing. You have to.
You have to.
Being in Morbid Angel as a guitarist, well, I just felt it. Morbid Angel, one of my favorite bands of all time. And so playing those songs, it just came very natural to me because, I love Morbid Angel. Same with Cannibal Corpse. Besides the fact that with Cannibal Corpse, I almost had an extra bonus because I've produced so many records. And even though I didn't know the songs, I sat here and looked at Pat or Rob or Alex, tracking the stuff. So I kind of had a lot of even more familiarity than just listening to the records. I recorded some of those. And some of those songs
nuts and bolts level familiarity.
So I had a bonus in the learning of that, but it was similar approach of like adapting the Cannibal Corpse style as I had to adapt to Morbid Angel style. Is that I have all the records with Cannibal. I produced a bunch of records, and I felt it. If I don't feel it, then it's a no-go for me. Like I have to feel it because I'm just not. I may think constantly all the time, but when it comes to playing, I don't think at all. It's the complete opposite. I guess that's why I love playing guitar so much, because it's like one of the few things that shuts down my overactive brain.
Yeah, that is one great thing about it. So I guess when you are learning, one of their songs, like how do you go about it? Is it like tabs, or are you watching a video, or are you going by ear? Like what?
Well, it's interesting because, Alex lives on the West Coast. So, when I first started learning Cannibal songs, this is back, geez, around the holidays of 2018 is when I, started learning the songs because I was, filling in. And it was the holidays. I was like, you know what? Just send me some tab. And I've never really done tab at all. Like Trey and I, we would sit down, show each other stuff. That was that. Same with Sean and Ripping Corpse, Hate Eternal, same thing. JJ and I, we just show each other stuff, and that's it. Or I learn by ear. So tab is a fairly new thing for me. But with Alex writing a lot of this stuff and playing bass, he always puts it in tab, and he's really good at this stuff. Like Alex is like, man, he is his brain is just incredible. Like he's so gifted and talented, and obviously as a player and a writer. But when it comes to the musicality and just doing tab, it's so helpful. So during that time, during the holidays, I said, you know what, Rob, Alex, don't worry about it. Let's not, don't worry about Skype right now. I'll just start learning from the tab book to start, and I started learning a bunch of songs from the tab book, which for me kind of sucked because my whole career, I never really used tab. Somebody would write my tab, like I'd show them a riff, maybe they write it down for cheat notes later or something. But I never sat there and read tab and learned. I just didn't. But with Cannibal, I started learning tab just because I knew we were doing a tour and there wasn't a lot of time. It was the holidays. I can learn a lot of this stuff on my own. And now, like, say, perfect example, Violence Unimagined. Well, Alex wasn't here for the recording of that record, and he wrote a bunch of songs because he lived on the West Coast. And during lockdowns, he wasn't able to travel here. So he had to track himself, and we reamped and stuff. So I had to learn all his songs from tab. But we use GP8 now. And that's something that he would send the songs and I have to learn from it. And now I've learned.
It's a great tool.
Man, I don't know how many songs I've learned from tab now. It's all 30, 40 Cannibal Corpse songs by tab, 50, I don't know. And it's all been through tab. And now once I did the Hate Eternal tab book, and then we did Violence Unimagined tab book as well. I've just gotten more and more into the learning from tab to the point where now I don't mind learning from tab, which is, I feel like I can put the GP8 in front of me. I can learn it, and then I could track it on the fly. And like say I want to do a click and scratch or something. I can just learn it, track it next. And I'm getting better and better. I feel like it's another tool in my arsenal that I didn't have pre-Cannibal Corpse. But now, after all these years of learning from tab, I actually, I'm able to expedite it. It used to take me a really long time. And still longer, like when we're on tour. I think the last tour Rob and I were in a hotel room or something. Like, hey, let's show each other some stuff for the next batch of touring, and we did, and we showed each other each a song in less than 2 hours, 50 minutes. He learned one, I learned one in 50 minutes, and that was that. Now tab takes me a little longer because you're just looking at notes on a paper, but the GP7. Well, I can play it back. I can slow it down. It stays in pitch. So that's where Guitar Pro has become a really helpful tool, and I've gotten much better at it. Now, when it comes to writing tab, forget it, because my music theory is so, I can write tab. Sure. Give me a notebook and I'll draw 6 lines or 7. Right. And I'll go ding, ding, ding. But when it comes to musical notation or timings, I don't do that. But when it comes to learning, I've gotten much better at it. And I don't mind learning from tab. I actually appreciate it now. So that's one of the many things that I've acquired by, playing with Cannibal and Alex and Rob and everybody. And it's just such a helpful tool.
Totally. Like the whole idea of being able to communicate musical ideas to people that aren't right there with you is amazing.
It's so helpful. And I wish, the one thing I do want to do is I want to be able to write tab at some point. But man, it's kind of one of those things I mentioned before where I had Evan Bradley, who transcribed the Hate Eternal and Cannibal books with me, who he's done a ton of stuff now. You know, he worked with Devin Townsend. I think he worked, with Opeth. I turned him on to Decapitated. He worked with Decapitated and Vogue. And he's just such a gifted guy. He's such an incredible musician and so good at this stuff. And I said, hey, can you set up a couple, tabs for me in GP7, at some of my regular tunings, C sharp, G sharp, A sharp.
Just like some templates.
Yeah, templates, exactly. And he made these templates for me. And I was working on it, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna try to do this. And I got like 5 minutes in, I was like, oh, this fucking sucks. Like I'm out. I didn't even make it 5 minutes on the writing aspect. So I figure, well, we all have our limits, I guess. Even though I never feel like I have any limit, I always feel like I'll learn this or figure this out or achieve that. Like I don't. But with the tab, maybe I wasn't ready.
I feel like if you had a really good reason, you would learn it in the day.
Right. I think that's what it is. The reason. Like if I had a necessity for it or like, which I don't, right? But, I think you're right. The motivation comes from maybe the reason or the necessity. And I don't have that. So it's limited. I'm sure I could figure it out. But man,
you totally could figure it out. Absolutely. Without a doubt. And if you just think about like what you just said, that like you didn't used to learn from it, but because of necessity, you did with working with Alex during COVID, like you had to. So boom, you know how to do it now. So I feel like if there was some reason like that, like where for whatever reason you had to get good at writing in Guitar Pro, I'm sure within 2 days you'd be totally fine.
Wow, man. Well, 2 days, huh? That's bold, man. You got a lot of faith in me, man. I appreciate it. I appreciate it, though. I appreciate it, man.
You just got to have a reason. Like,
and it's funny when I'm learning stuff from Tab once in a while, like, man, I was learning a song last week and I was like, wow, this got some crazy shit in it, and I was texting Paul, like, man, I'm learning this, stuff. And he was like, man, you'll figure it out in like 10 minutes or something, like I was like, man, you got a lot of faith in me, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Like surround yourself with good people. That's one of the things that like
key.
I really, really appreciate